April 26, 1986. At exactly 1:23 in the morning, what seemed like an ordinary night inside the Soviet Union was about to become one of the darkest moments in modern history. At the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, engineers were performing what was supposed to be a routine safety test. No one inside the control room expected anything to go wrong. But within seconds, everything changed. Two massive explosions ripped through reactor number 4. Concrete, steel, and burning graphite were thrown hundreds of meters into the air. An invisible cloud of radioactive material began spreading across the night sky. Inside the plant, many workers believed they were dealing with nothing more than a simple fire. Some even insisted that a reactor explosion was impossible. They had no idea that deadly radiation was already surrounding them. Before the sun rose that morning, history had already changed forever. Just minutes before the explosion, engineers were carrying out a routine safety test inside reactor number 4. The goal was to learn how the reactor would respond if the power supply suddenly failed. At first, everything appeared to be under control, but a series of critical mistakes combined with serious design flaws in the RBMK reactor created a chain of events that no one could stop. The reactor's power level suddenly increased far beyond what the operators expected. Pressure built up inside the core within seconds. Then came two massive explosions that destroyed the reactor building. Inside the control room, many workers still believed the reactor itself could not have exploded. They had no idea that the disaster unfolding around them would soon become the worst nuclear accident in human history. Only minutes after the explosion, the first firefighters arrived at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. They were told they were responding to a rooftop fire. No one warned them that the reactor had exploded. Without protective equipment, they climbed onto the burning building and began fighting the flames. Scattered across the roof were large black pieces of graphite from the destroyed reactor core. Many firefighters believed they were simply chunks of concrete. In reality, those fragments were releasing deadly levels of radiation. Within minutes, several firefighters began feeling dizzy and weak. Some noticed a strange metallic taste in their mouths. None of them realized they had already received massive doses of radiation. They believed they were fighting an ordinary fire when they were actually standing in the middle of a nuclear catastrophe. While firefighters battled the flames at the power plant, life in the nearby city of Pripyat continued as if nothing had happened. People woke up and prepared for work. Children played outside. Families walked through the streets without any idea that an invisible cloud of radioactive particles was already spreading across the city. For many hours, no public warning was given. Windows remained open. Parks were full of children. No one knew that every passing minute increased their exposure to dangerous radiation. It was not until the following day that the authorities finally ordered the evacuation of nearly 50,000 residents. They were told they would return home within a few days. Most of them never lived in Pripyat again. On April the 27th, 1986, nearly 36 hours after the explosion, the evacuation of Pripyat finally began. Hundreds of buses entered the city as loudspeakers instructed residents to leave their homes. Officials told everyone the evacuation would only last a few days. People were asked to take only essential belongings, important documents, and enough clothing for a short trip. Many locked their apartment doors, believing they would soon return. Pets were left behind. Meals remained on kitchen tables. Children left their toys exactly where they had been playing. No one imagined they were seeing their homes for the last time. Within just a few hours, an entire city became almost completely empty. Pripyat would never again be a place where families lived, worked, or raised their children. In the days following the explosion, thousands of people were sent to prevent an even greater catastrophe. They would later become known as the Liquidators. Soldiers, firefighters, engineers, miners, and volunteers were ordered to work in areas with extremely high levels of radiation. Helicopters flew over the destroyed reactor, dropping sand, lead, and boron in an attempt to reduce the spread of radioactive material. But one of the most dangerous missions took place on the roof of the reactor. Large pieces of highly radioactive graphite had to be removed by hand. Some workers were allowed to remain on the roof for less than 90 seconds before being ordered back. Every extra second meant absorbing a far greater dose of radiation. Many of those who accepted these missions knew the risks, but they went anyway. Beneath the destroyed reactor, investigators eventually discovered one of the most dangerous objects ever created by a nuclear disaster. It became known as the Elephant's Foot. This massive black formation was created when nuclear fuel, concrete, steel, and sand melted together under extreme heat. When it was first discovered, the radiation levels were so intense that standing near it for only a short time could deliver a potentially fatal dose. Even taking a photograph required extreme caution. The Elephant's Foot became one of the most radioactive objects ever recorded. Although its radiation has decreased over the decades, it remains a powerful reminder of the unimaginable forces released during the Chernobyl disaster. Even today, it continues to fascinate scientists from around the world. Today, the Chernobyl exclusion zone remains one of the most fascinating abandoned places on Earth. Decades after the disaster, the city of Pripyat still stands almost exactly as it was left. Empty apartment buildings, silent classrooms, and the famous Ferris wheel have become symbols of a city frozen in time. Yet after people disappeared, nature slowly returned. Trees began growing through streets and buildings. Wild animals reclaimed areas that were once filled with thousands of residents. Wolves, deer, wild horses, and many other species now live inside the exclusion zone. Chernobyl remains a powerful reminder of one of humanity's greatest disasters, but it also shows the remarkable ability of nature to recover when people are gone. The Chernobyl disaster changed far more than a single city. It changed the way the entire world viewed nuclear safety. After the accident, countries introduced stricter regulations, improved reactor designs, and expanded international cooperation to reduce the risk of another catastrophe. Scientists have spent decades studying the disaster and its long-term effects on people, wildlife, and the environment. Many of the lessons learned at Chernobyl continue to influence nuclear power today. Although technology has advanced, the events of April 1986 remain one of history's most important warnings. Chernobyl is more than an abandoned place. It is a reminder that even the smallest mistakes can have consequences lasting for generations. Decades have passed since the Chernobyl disaster, but its legacy still remains. The empty streets of Pripyat, the silent buildings, the abandoned schools, and the forests that slowly reclaimed the city all remind us how a single night changed millions of lives forever. Even today, scientists continue to study the long-term effects of radiation on people, wildlife, and the environment. Many areas remain unsafe, while others stand as permanent reminders of one of history's greatest disasters. Chernobyl is more than the story of a nuclear accident. It is a lesson about responsibility, technology, and the consequences of human decisions. Its silence continues to speak to every generation that follows. Some places should never be forgotten. because remembering the past is the only way to protect the future. This is NEXORIS, exploring the world's greatest mysteries.